In this lesson, you're going to learn how to make a bar graph. The essential question for this lesson is, how can you make a bar graph to show data? So far, you've learned to understand a bar graph and how to use a bar graph, and now you're going to learn to make one. Jordan took a survey of his classmates' favorite team sports. He recorded the results in the table at the right. How can he show the results in a bar graph? Now, the table's actually down here below, and we can see the favorite team sports for his class. The 4 favorite sports are soccer, basketball, baseball, and football, and you can see that 12 people chose soccer, 4 chose basketball, 14 chose baseball, and 9 chose football. So let's look here at the steps to making a bar graph. Step 1 is write a title at the top to tell what the graph is about. So we're gonna first write our title, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it Favorite Team Sports, just like his table. Okay, the next part says label the side of the graph to tell about the bars. Now, that's this side over here. And we're going to say that this is a sport. I'm going to try to write sideways with this. And the sports are soccer, basketball, baseball, and football. Then we're going to label the bottom of the graph to explain what the numbers tell. Now, these tell the number of students. Now, step 2 says choose numbers for the bottom of the graph so that most of the bars will end on a line. Now, since the least number is 4 and the greatest number is 14, make the scale 0 to 16. So to do this, we need to mark the scale by 2's. So this blank is right underneath this starting line, that's 0. So this line will represent 2, this line will represent 4, this line would be 6, this one is 8, this line is 10, this line is 12, this line is 14, and this line is 16. And then step 3 tells us we're going to draw and shade a bar to show the number for each sport. So for soccer, we have 12. So we're going to draw a bar all the way out to the 12 line. And then we're going to shade it in. We're going to do the same thing for basketball, but this time our bar is going to be shorter because it only goes out to 4. 2, 4. Now with baseball, there are 14 students that chose baseball as their favorite sport. So we're going to go all the way out to 14 and shade that in. Then let's take a look at football. There's 9. Oh, well, I don't see 9 here. But I know that 9 comes between 8 and 10. So I'm going to come all the way out here past the 8 line, right in between the 8 and the 10. And make my bar that long to show that 9 students chose football. And I have just made a bar graph. Let's look at another one. Matt's school is having a walk-a-thon to raise money for the school library. Matt made a pictograph to show the number of miles some students walked. Make a bar graph of Matt's data. Use a scale of 0 to 12 and mark the scale by 2's. Do you remember what the steps were to making a bar graph? What's the first thing we should do? You're right, we should give it a title. So let's call this graph School Walkathon. Next, let's write over here what this is. And I'm going to attempt to write these are the students. That's actually going to be the number of students. And down here, these are going to be the students' names. And I have Sam, Matt, Ben, and Erica. And I found all of this information right here in my chart. Now in my pictograph. Now it tells me here to make a bar graph using a scale of 0 to 12 and mark the scale by 2s. So again, I have to start with 0, and 0 is going to represent this line. 2 represents this line. 4 is this line. 6 is this line. 8 would be this line. 10 would be this line. And the very top line is 12. Now what do I do last? You're right, I fill in the bars. Now I'm going to start with Sam, and since each t-shirt represents 2 miles, Sam walked 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So Sam's bar is going to start at the bottom, and it's going to go all the way up to 10. I'm going to shade that in. Now let's take a look at Matt. He went 2, 4, 6 miles. So I'm going to go all the way up to the 6th line to show that Matt walked 6 miles. How about Ben? Ben walked 2 miles. So his bar is going to come up to the 2 line. And Erica walked 2, 4, 6, 8. So we're going to take her bar all the way up to 8 and shade it in. All right, let's take a look at these questions. Which student walked the most miles? Well, I can see that Sam's bar is the tallest, so he walked the most miles. How many more miles would Erica have had to walk to equal the number of miles Sam walked? Well, Erica walked 8, and to get to the same amount as Sam, we would need to stretch her bar up to this line for it to be 10. Now, since each space represents 2 more miles, Erica would have to walk 2 more miles to walk the same number as Sam. So that answer would be 2. How many miles in all did the students walk? Ooh, now to figure this out, we need to look at the bars and see how many miles each student walked, and then we can add them together. So Sam walked 10. Matt walked 6. Ben walked 2. And Erica walked 8. Now I can add these up. Now I know that 8 and 2 make 10. So I'm going to add those together first in my head, and that's going to give me 10. And I know that 10 and 10 make 20. And then if I add 6 to 20, that's going to give me 26. So they walked 26 miles in all. Wow, that's a lot. If Daniel walked twice as far as Erica, explain how the graph would have to change to show Daniel's data. Now, if Daniel walked twice as far as Erica, Daniel would have walked twice as far as 8 miles. That means he would have walked 8 miles and then another 8 miles, and 8 plus 8 gives us 16. Oh, we wouldn't be able to put Daniel's bar on our graph because our bar graph only goes up to 12. So to change the graph, we would either have to make it taller and add more lines to it, or we would have to change our scale and make each section worth 3 miles instead of just 2 miles. All right, now it's your turn to make a bar graph.